Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center overlooking the Toms River, it's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show, 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. 7:08, Monday, August 8th. 70 degrees, got up to 82 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio, streaming live on the Radio Pop app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are now joined in studio by Carol Weshnak. She is the executive director of Contact of Ocean and Monmouth County. Good morning, Carol. How are you?
Good morning, Jeremy.
Well, so isn't it awkward when I say good morning when you've been sitting here for 20 minutes? That's a little weird, right?
A little belated.
You're like, it's odd. Why didn't he talk to me all this time? So why don't you give folks kind of the 30,000 feet overview of what Contact is all about?
Okay, let me start with Contact is a 501c3 organization, and we have been in existence in Ocean County for 40 years. I find it truly amazing that for 40 years we have volunteers who are answering the phones 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, holidays, every day for all these years. And the volunteers have been very dedicated to Contact, believing in our mission. Basically, we are a crisis intervention, suicide prevention hotline, and we provide an information and referral service. Our database has about 1,000 agencies and programs, which is most helpful to people who are calling us that are looking for assistance and they might not know which direction to go in. So we can kind of guide them through the maze of what they are looking for, many times basic life necessities. Contact began in 1975, and that year there were 7,000 calls. Last year, 2015, we answered over 27,000 calls.
Wow, that's amazing. What kind of training goes into having someone kind of certified to volunteer to help? Because you can't just, I'm sure someone can't just volunteer and then you slick them on a telephone and say, yeah, someone who's suicidal is going to call you in a few minutes. Just take care of them, all right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work that
No.
way. We have training once a year. Our next training will be in January 2017. Now, when I took training 30 years ago, the training was 16 weeks. We have now condensed it to 12 weeks, one night a week for 12 weeks. And then there's an apprenticeship program where you actually are buddied up with a trainer in the phone room, and you will be answering your calls with some supervision, which really makes people feel at ease rather than throwing them into the fire in a sense.
Sure.
So it is extensive. We use a lot of active listening skills. We do a lot of role plays, and it makes people really feel comfortable so that when they get on the phones, they do feel prepared to listen and to be there for whatever the topic could be.
Right.
There's really no topics off limit.
And how many volunteers do you have at any given time that are pitching in?
Right now, we have about 65 volunteers.
Wow.
We definitely need more volunteers.
Sure.
For sure, because it is really difficult to answer the phones, all these shifts that we have every day. And in the future, we would like to have 2 people on a shift. That has been a dream of Contact.
Right. So 27,000 calls. Okay. So I'm going to do the math here for a second. Right. So that is about 2,200 calls a month. Right. So that means you get about 75 calls a day.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to assume that you operate on a 24-hour day, that's like 3 to 4 calls an hour.
That is true.
Wow.
That is true.
That's crazy. And that's just Monmouth and Ocean County, right?
Oh, no. We take calls from anyone who calls us. We have calls from people out of state.
Oh, do you?
We do.
Okay.
We do. Sometimes people have lived in New Jersey and they moved out of state, and they will still call.
But the majority, would you say the majority are Monmouth and Ocean County?
Yes. The majority is really Ocean County. Yes.
So that's but that is a staggering number when you think about it. When you think about the fact that 3 or 4 people per hour are calling a hotline, that's a crisis intervention hotline. That is probably the most illustrative statistic that I've heard of the need in a county or in a region for additional resources, right?
Well, when you think about it, when you say 75 calls average a day, there are some days that it's less, some days it's more, of course. But after Superstorm Sandy, we were getting calls of 125, 140 calls a day. Our phones were down. We were calling. We were sitting in our sitting in our cars, charging cell phones for the need.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was unbelievable, and the calls just kept coming in and coming in.
Any truth to the rumor that every time Donald Trump has a press conference, the numbers go way up? No, I'm joking. Let's move along. Moving right along. So Carol, how did you 41 years. Now, I don't want to judge you, but 41 years. How long have you been involved with the organization?
I have been a contact hotline volunteer for 30 years.
So, Carol, I don't want to throw stones. It's inappropriate for me, but my question is, what happened those first 11 years that you weren't involved? I mean, where did you fall down there? I mean, what was the issue?
Well, actually, I guess then I wasn't even living in New Jersey then.
That's a lame excuse, Carol. You got to do better than that.
I know. I should have looked up a contact center in New York, right? But when I moved to New Jersey, I got married and I started a family. And I was looking for some kind of part-time volunteer work. Didn't know what, but I was remaining my mind open. And sometimes, you have those, it hits you right in the head. I opened the newspaper and there was an ad saying, Contact Crisis Line is looking for hotline volunteers. And I said, I think I could do that. I think that's what I'd like to do, because I thought I was a good listener back then.
Oh.
Until I took the contact training. What I realized was, when I was listening, many times I was thinking of the next thing I was going to say, and that is not active listening. Active listening is really clearing your mind, focusing, and just being in the present, which sounds easy, but it really isn't.
No, that sounds super hard, especially in our the fact that we have 12 social media outlets to monitor. And we're getting blasted by news and information every 7 seconds. To remain present in any conversation for any period of time, I think is becoming increasingly difficult.
I agree with you.
So that does sound really hard. So you kind of happened on this just because you I don't want to say just because, but you didn't have this in your mind all along, that you wanted to reach out and help people, and you wanted to get involved in this. It just kind of was the right thing for you at the right time. Is that what it was?
Well, I knew I wanted to help people. I mean, everybody who comes to Contact has a big heart. They want to give back to the community. They want to help people that are in trouble. And I just thought, gee, a telephone hotline would be different. And I had never experienced anything like it. And what I did think is that people will speak very openly on a phone,
right,
rather than face to face, and that is true.
Absolutely.
So I just thought this would be for me. Did I think 30 years ago I would still be at Contact? I guess I didn't give it that much thought,
right,
but I do have it in my heart to continue with this mission, because I believe in the work that we do.
Great. So when we get back, let's talk about the work that you do, and let's talk about kind of what a lot of the phone calls revolve around. Let's talk about how the heroin situation at this Jersey Shore has changed what you're doing. And then ultimately, I'd like to hear about some success stories or some folks that you guys have impacted in a positive way. Carol Weshnak, Executive Director, Contact of Ocean and Monmouth County. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, back after this.
Everything you need to know about the Jersey Shore. This is Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, 722. We're here with Carol Weshnak. We're talking Contact of Ocean and Monmouth County. So, Carol, how has the explosion of heroin at the Jersey Shore kind of impacted what you guys are doing day to day?
I would say a majority of the calls that we get about substance abuse are from parents. Parents are calling. They're upset what has changed in their family when there is a son or a daughter on drugs. or alcoholism, whatever the substance abuse is. And it is a family problem. So we do see certainly an increase in those kinds of calls, as we do lately in the calls from people who are homeless. We are the after-hours homeless hotline in Ocean, and those calls have increased dramatically too. People who are in need of food and shelter and clothing. Whereas before, it is still the majority of our calls are what we call listening calls, where we're not giving out referrals. But the people who are struggling, trying to get by financially, has definitely changed in the last 5 to 10 years.
Right. Okay. And so what, let me have a success story or two. I mean, I'm sure the reason that you get involved in this is to a large extent because you want to make an impact, right? You want to make a difference. And so for all the stuff that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, which I'm sure can be grinding and can really get to you, it's those wins, it's those folks that are positively impacted that kind of make it all worthwhile. So why don't you give me an example of one of those?
Absolutely. First, I'd like to say that all the calls that come to Contact are confidential, anonymous, and we do not have caller ID. And I stress that because we are probably the only organization or only phone that does not have caller ID in 2016. So people can feel very comfortable. We do not know who you are. We're not tracing calls. So I just wanted to say that up front. I think a big success just in general is that many people in Ocean County call us and they tell us they have no one to talk to. They don't hear a human voice at all. There are many seniors, as you know, in Ocean County, and they have lost family or they're estranged from their family. And we are, whether you want to say a lifeline of hope for them, a friendly voice on the phone, someone to say, we care, we're here, whatever they want to talk about. A more dramatic type success story, as I said, we are suicide prevention, and I personally took a call maybe about 3 or 4 years ago from a woman who told me that she had taken pills, she had pain pills, and then she was feeling very despondent and she was drinking. At that point, I didn't know what state she was in, but as we were talking, she kept telling me how empty she felt, and that's why she did this, and she was scared. She was really scared.
Right.
She did not want to die. So fortunately, the connection we made, and then she started talking about her dog, what would happen to her dog
Right.
if she wasn't here. And fortunately, very fortunately, she was calling and looking for help. And she said to me, please stay on the phone with me until they come, which I did. And I was saying some prayers to myself that she would still be there by the time the police came, which came very rapidly. And she said to me, I cannot thank you enough for being on the other end of this phone.
Right.
And I always think to myself, that was one of the most heartfelt thank yous that memorable for me.
Right. And that's what it's really all about, right? Is how you can save someone literally from themselves oftentimes. When we come back, Carol Weshnak, contact of Ocean and Monmouth County, we're going to talk about how to raise money, and we're going to give her a magic wand. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin back after this.
Coming up next, the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from Town Square Towers, at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 7:35 Monday, August 8th, 70 degrees. Got up to 82 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the radio pop app at WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are joined in studio by Carol Weshnak. She is the Executive Director of Contact of Ocean and Monmouth County. So Carol, you know what? It's always the same, isn't it? We at our foundation, the Jay and Linda Grunin Foundation, my director of strategy has a term that she taught me 2.5 years ago when we started doing this, and that was no money, no mission. Right. So at the end of the day, it's always about the fact that you need to keep raising money. And you mentioned for you, it's also heavily about how many volunteers you can continue to recruit, which requires money, A, not only to train those volunteers, but B, to be able to have the means by which to recruit them, through the world that we live in. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you guys have going on to raise funds, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, we have 3 fundraisers coming up. Our first one is in September, on September 17th. It's a 5K race walk, a 1-mile run, and a 1-mile health walk at the Ocean County Park. It's a beautiful course. I hope that some of your listeners might come out and participate. A great course, a great park, and a great mission that we have. So I hope some of you will put your running shoes on and show up on September 17th. In October, we for all the QVC shoppers, we have our annual bus trip out to Pennsylvania. We start at the QVC outlet where all the great buys are. We go on to a beautiful lunch, and then we end up at the QVC studio and back in New Jersey at 6:30 at night. It's a fun day. Lots of shopping, lots of buys, and as they say, it's time to queue. And then in November, we do have an entertainment show, a music and comedy show at Woodlake Country Club. We have a lovely lunch, and we have shopping with the vendors. So for the early birds, you can be out there shopping for a holiday or shopping for yourself, whatever suits your fancy. We've been doing that for about the last 6 or 7 years, and it's a great day to enjoy yourselves, have lunch, have a few laughs, sing along, and have a nice afternoon. If any of you are interested in coming to any of these events, please call the Contact Business Office. The office number is 732-240-6104, and that would also be the same number for our contact training, which starts in January.
Very cool. So it's that time now, Carol. It's time
Jeremy.
to give you the magic wand, the pixie dust, the fairy dust, the ability just to wiggle your nose and make an impact. What is it that you would do if you could make a difference in the world?
Well, if I had that magic wand, I would wish that our doors would open wide and many, many volunteers would come running through to be part of our mission. It takes an awful lot of volunteers to man a hotline 24 hours a day, number one. We have very dedicated trainers who spend a tremendous amount of time training the new volunteers. So when I envision more contact hotline volunteers coming through, I know some of them would be very good at becoming trainers. We need board members. We could use help with clerical work. So overall, we really are always in that position of needing more volunteers to keep a 24/7 operation going. And of course, a little money wouldn't help either.
Wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt.
I'm sorry, wouldn't hurt
yeah,
either.
because money. Hey, there's a big. That's a big difference. It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt.
It's a little early for me, I guess.
I understand completely. So okay. All right. So that being said, where would folks go to learn more, to be able to see how they could pitch in, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, the office line is 732-240-6104. You could call our office. Any interest in training, any interest in going on any of our, attending any of our fundraisers, or just any additional information you would like about Contact, that would be great. And if you would like to call our crisis hotline, which, as I said, is 24/7, that number is 732-240-6100.
Wow. All right, Carol Weshnak. Well, listen, I got to say, number one, I am blown away. I would have had no idea that you would have that volume of phone calls over the course of a day, just really in at the Jersey Shore. That amazes me and saddens me, actually. Number two, I don't know if the right word is, it's not envious, but I am in awe of the fact that you have for 30 years been making an impact on an organization like Contact of Ocean and Monmouth County, which is amazing.
I still look at it as a privilege.
It's amazing, and you know what? It's folks like you that are the reason that we have a show like this, which our mantra is get up, get out, and do something. You got up and got out and did something as first as a volunteer, and then ultimately running the organization. So my hat's off to you if I was wearing one, and thank you for all you've done to support those in need here at the Jersey Shore.
And thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. Carol Weshnak, Executive Director, Contact of Ocean and Monmouth County. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin back after this.
The Sean Hannity Show, this afternoon at 3. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin returns next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.